Rated M for mature.
Don't let your kids watch it!
Hey there, Artie!
Welcome back to Higurashi When They Cry, Chapter 6. Everybody, we are at the end of Chapter 11 within Chapter 6, and I think we only have, 2 more main achievements left, along with the view all the tips and just complete the game. So, here we go. Let's see what Ren is about to do. Continue. Ooh, nice piano music. At lunchtime the next day, okay, it's Keiichi's perspective. Everybody in class was talking about Rena's disappearance. We were all worried about her safety, but I kept a safe distance from everybody else.
レナはどこに行っちゃったんだろうね。
You know, I think we've had the remake art style long enough. Let's go back to console, shall we?
鬼隠しにあったなんて、いい加減なことを言ってる連中もいるよ。まったく。
You said all of that with basically just a cough? I will never understand other languages.
ケイチさん、今日は元気がありませんでしたよ。
Red alert that I shot people with a BB gun in my past.
Me.
Oh, I do like remake Rika a little better, but Satoko and Rika-chan noticed something odd about my attitude.
俺は
I like console Mio and I like console Satoko. I feel like Rika, she really just needs to be in the remake art style. I like her design there a lot bit better, but I also actually schoolgirl Rika in the original art style is pretty nice as well. I don't know, she looks like a different character in this art style.
Huh?
I couldn't sleep at all last night because of what Rena told me. Friends don't keep secrets from one another. That sentence bit into my heart, and I couldn't sleep because of the pain.
ミオ、サトコもリカちゃんも話しておきたいことがある。
レナに関すること？
いや、そうじゃない。俺自身についてのことなんだ。
I decided to tell them about it because they were my friends, but I didn't know what I was expecting to change by doing so. They might despise me. Was there any benefit in telling them? No, there wasn't. I knew that for sure. But I still wanted to tell them about it, just because I thought it'd help heal the pain I was feeling.
ケイチさんのことですの？
ああ、ちょっと真面目な話なんだ。聞いてほしい。
Rika's like, I've already heard this.
俺が引っ越してくる前のことなんだ。当時の俺は勉強しか脳のないやつだった。
Sometimes I feel that way too. I learned the tricks of the game called studying at my cram school. I enjoyed the sense of superiority I felt by getting good grades. I kept studying just because I wanted to look down on the other students. Oh, he was an a-hole. When my grades got better, my parents got happier, and my teachers praised me. I felt good. It was fun to look down on the students who were good at running, dodgeball, and swimming. That was the only reason I kept studying. Before I knew it, not only was I at the top of my class, I was the top of my school. So I started to think I was the most important student there. I looked down on the kids who were playing in the schoolyard during lunch break. I enjoyed feeling a sense of superiority to them and my insignificance. The more I studied, the better everybody expected me to do. They started to place high hopes on me. They expected me to go to the best school in Japan. I flattered myself in thinking I deserved to go to that school as well. But the fun went out of looking down on people, while the burden of studying didn't change a bit. My classmates stopped admiring my cleverness after a while, and my teachers started to push me to study more. All of a sudden, the fun had gone out of it. To begin with, I didn't even like to study. I had average reflexes. I was average in a fight. I was an average boy, and with nothing that really drew attention. Every protagonist in a nutshell. So when I found something that I could use to get to that attention, I jumped on it. It happened to be studying for me, but if it was riding a unicycle or juggling, I would have done that too. Yeah, Japanese and a lot of Asian school systems in general don't really care if they stress the students out. It's all about study harder, study harder, study harder, study harder. I'm actually really, really bad at studying. I was naturally good at academics, but I didn't really have to study for it. If I ever actually have to study, I'm kind of bad. I was just a little boy who wanted to be praised when I did something better than anybody else. I finished all of my summer homework because my parents praised me for it, and I took charge of cleaning duties at school because my teachers praised me for it. So when they stopped praising me for what I did, I began to feel as though my life had no meaning. My parents used to give me an allowance that was proportional to how good my grades were, so I used to get a substantial amount of money for my age. Keiichi was flushed with cash. I don't know if I had a natural interest in violence, or if I was looking for it because of my frustration at the time. I took an interest in BB guns. Better that than a real gun, I guess. At first, I shot at cardboard boxes. It was fun. Being violent at pieces of cardboard relieved a lot of stress. Nobody blamed me for doing that. But soon, I started wanting to do something I never should have done. On the box that my BB gun came with, there was a warning label that read, "Do not shoot at people." That was when I thought about doing just that. Oh boy. Yeah. Don't do this. That sounds like fun. I'm gonna do that. Why did I do something I shouldn't have? I guess I was just immature. What? Keiichi? Immature? Never. I wasn't interested in studying anymore, but I forced myself to do so anyway. My parents forced me to go to several cram schools. I was mad at them for that. I should have just told them I didn't want to study anymore, but I didn't have the courage to do that. So, I used my frustration as an excuse to do something cowardly. I shot at kids who were younger than I was with my BB gun. It gave me such a thrill. It felt so good to do something bad when I was overcome with studying. Needless to say, I had no personal grudge against the kids I shot. He's just like, "Hi, this'll be fun." I mean, Keiichi, he was a jerk when he was younger, but he's also deeply regretful over that, so I forgive him. You know, I don't think any of us want to be judged by how we were when we were in, like, middle school or high school, right? Also, hello, X-Dude. Welcome to the stream. See what happens when you don't give your child a break and never ask how he's doing? Yeah, you gotta nurture them as well. As long as the kids passed through a deserted street, they met the requirements to become my target. I didn't mean to hurt them. I shot at them once or twice from a distance. That's all I wanted to do. But sometimes they didn't react at all because the BBs hit a thicker part of their clothes or something. I didn't like that, so I started to shoot until they noticed they were being hit. It inevitably escalated into a barrage of gunfire. I study a lot. I'm doing something good. So I deserve to do something bad to balance out the good thing I'm doing. That's not how that works. That was the unbelievably selfish excuse I made. I thought I had the right to do things because I was suffering myself. I thought people who weren't suffering like I was deserved to be shot at and to get hurt a little bit. I was so selfish, so arrogant, and so immature. I was disgusted with myself. If I could have met myself at the time, I would have given myself a punch in the face so hard I'd knock all my teeth out. They started to call it a series of attacks on school children. The principal of my school held a morning assembly to inform everyone about the case and to warn them to be careful when playing outside. I was laughing sneakily. He's like the girl in the meme of like the building burning down. She just gives the side eye to the camera like, Satoko, why is he telling us this? Good question. The PTA issued a letter of warning and advice to take the safest way to and from school. Parents took turns watching kids and when they walked between home and school in groups. The more serious it got, the more it reminded me of the excitement I first felt when my grades started going up. I was absorbed in that game I was playing. I didn't think that I'd get caught someday. I didn't even think to stop doing it either. One day, I found a little girl who was walking down a narrow dark street all alone. She was a very small girl. I don't know if she was on her way to her friend's house or if she was running an errand. I didn't care which. It was careless of her to go out alone. The school had warned her not to. So it was her fault. Just like always, I made a selfish excuse and attacked her. Some of the shots hit her in the back. She noticed she was being attacked by somebody. She turned around. It was a natural reaction. At that time, I didn't hesitate to rain hell upon her. So when she turned around, I was still shooting at her. Usually when I shot at a kid, she cried in pain and ran away. But this girl was different. She thrashed around in excruciating pain, holding one of her eyes. When I saw her doing that, I realized what had happened right away. The BB had hit her in the eye. Until that moment, I didn't think about what would happen when a pellet that could easily go through a cardboard box hit an eyeball. Anyway, the girl howled in pain, and for the first time, I realized I had done something horrible. She saw me, so I couldn't take her to a hospital. I couldn't do anything about it, so I left her there while she was still screaming in pain. I wondered if she was okay, and I worried that she had lost her eye. I kept thinking about her, and I didn't even feel like eating that day. I went to the bookshelf in our living room, snuck a medical book to my room, and studied the structure of a human eye. It was too late to make a difference, but I studied what kind of injuries would make a person lose their vision. I knew it wouldn't make the sin I committed weigh any less if I found out that she wouldn't lose her sight. I couldn't sleep that night, and I suffered from a high fever. It's interesting because this feels like a parallel to Chapter 1 where Keiichi learned about Rena's breakdown from Uisi. Oh, absolutely! This is paralleling Chapter 1 very interestingly. It's not the same chapter, but there are a lot of similar beats. Just without the really, really scary stuff that I found in Chapter 1. It wasn't my parents, my teachers, or the police who first punished me for what I did. It was my own body. Before dawn, I woke my parents up and confessed to my sin. They were shocked at first, but it seemed like they understood the situation quickly due to my recent disobedient behavior and my interest in BB guns. My mom cried hysterically. My dad slapped me in the face till it swelled up. Look, I'm not one to excuse abusing your kids or anything, but he kinda deserved to get smacked. Maybe not that much, but yeah. Before the sun came up, I turned myself into the police, accompanied by my parents. See, like, he owns up to it. That's the thing. Like, he truly was remorseful, like, oh crap, because he didn't try to hide it. He didn't run away. He was like, nah, I gotta come clean, and I gotta make it up for it. So, big respect to Keiichi for doing that. Satoko stared at me with a stunned expression. I deserved to receive that kind of look. What I did was very wrong, and I needed to accept that.
それ本当ですの？
ああ、本当だ。今まで隠していて悪かった。
なんでそんなことを今頃になってわ
Mion's like, what is...
ざわざ言おうと思ったわけ？
Mion's like, what is with Keiichi just constantly telling me weird things? First it was like these weird conspiracy theories, and now this. Mion asked me. Rika-chan nodded in agreement.
本音から言うとさ、ケイちゃんどうしたのって感じかね。
まあ、そりゃそうだよな。
違うよ。そんなことわざわざ言い出す必要あったのかなってね。
いや、隠し事をするなんて仲間じゃないよな。俺はみんなのことを仲間だと思ってる。だからもう隠してなんかいられなかったんだ。
圭一はそれを僕たちに話して何を期待しているのですか？
That's a fair question.
期待なんて別にないよ。俺はただ
許しが欲しくても僕にはあげられないのです。圭一が怪我をさせた人たちにしかそれは与えられませんのです。
Yeah, I mean, she's got a point.
だから僕たちにそれを話しても何の期待にも応えられないのですよ。リカの言う通りですわね。潔いのは認めますけれど、そんなことを私たちに打ち明けてどうしたいって言うんですの？
どうしたいってことはないよ。ただ仲間に隠し事は。
Is this gonna lead to like all of us being like, here's my dark secret? My friends looked annoyed by the sudden confession of my past. I took it as bitter medicine. I got what I deserved.
ケイちゃんさ、ちょいとここで質問なんだけどさ。
What's with the weird, like, sly smirk there, Mion?
仲間に隠し事ってしたらいけないわけ？
That's also a good question, Mion.
え？
ケイちゃんの論法だと隠し事をしないのが仲間みたいな話だけどさ、おじさんはそんなの嫌だね。
僕も嫌です。
Mion and Rika-chan obviously disagreed with my statement. Well, yeah, they both have big secrets that they're keeping. Rika's like, yeah, I'm all-knowing because I've relived this life so many times. And Mion's like, yeah, well, I'm part of a Yakuza family, so I got my secrets. And Satoko's just like, my life is pain. Satoko nodded, following suit.
言いたくないことを言わないで何が悪いわけ？人には話したくないことや辛いこと、悲しいこと、失敗したことや思い出したくないことがたくさんある。それを全部打ち明けないと仲間と呼べないんなら、私はそんな仲間はいらないね。
でもそれじゃあ。
圭一、打ち明けなくていいことと打ち明けなくてはならないことは違いますのです。 罪は許しを得るために打ち明けなくてはならない。でも打ち明けて許された罪は
True.
もう打ち明ける必要はないのですよ。
True.
そうですわね。だって圭一さんはちゃんとおまわりさんのところに行って怒られてき
No,
たんで
no,
ご
my
ざいま
dad
しょ。
bought them off.
それで償いをして許してもらえたなら、それで圭一さんの罪はおしまいですわよ。
自首してその結果を受け入れたなら、それでケイちゃんのお務めは終わりだよ。もちろんケイちゃんが罪の十字架を背負い続けることはとても大切なこと。二度と過ちを繰り返さないよう常に胸に刻み続けるのは正しいことだよ。
Rika is very wise, but she also acts very weird at times.
でもね、それはケイちゃんが自戒することであって、打ち明けなくちゃいけないことではない。
そうですわよ。過去の恥ずかしい話なんかは私も内緒にしたいことがたくさんございましたよ。
True.
さとこは特にいっぱいいっぱいありますのです。
Rika, don't tell us this. I want you to be somebody who can actually keep other people's secrets.
私だけじゃございませんのよ。リカもですわよ。リカもですわよ。
Don't tell us her secrets either, okay?
み
Rika, oh. They decided to pogo stick. Satoko and Rika-chan fooled around with each other like they always did. Mion looked at them and then looked back at me.
今サトコはとてもいいことを言ったと思う。ケイちゃんにはどの部分かわかる？
Probably not.
過去の話は内緒にしたいというところか？
違う。その次の部分。誰にだってあるってところだよ。無菌室の試験管の中で育った人間でもない限り、人の人生は試行錯誤の繰り返しだと思う。
True.
いいことも悪いことも、いろいろなことを繰り返して成長して、それで最後の最後に素晴らしい人間になれればいいんじゃない？
So Keiichi, couldn't you have just gone to like Catholic Church and done confession instead of like trauma dumping on us?
いいことも悪いことも、すべてとても大切な経験なんだと思う。
Hey Manfred, welcome to the stream. You love this episode. That seems to be the common consensus. Pretty much everybody's like, oh man, this episode's really good. Like my favorite, one of my favorites, which I have to agree. This is a very good chapter.
それは誰でも同じで、ケイちゃんだけじゃない。私にも、サトコにも、リカちゃんにも。
It probably won't end well, considering literally every single other chapter has not ended very well. The best ending of the... Has the happiest ending been chapter 4? Just because the playable protagonist from our perspective lived, even though his wife died and like literally everyone in Hinamizawa died? Is that really the best ending? It's either that or like chapter 1. Bruh, is chapter 1's ending really the best? That can't be.
いやいや、クラスの全員にも当てはまることなんだよ。
There probably isn't a Catholic church in Himezawa. Yes, yeah, you're correct about that, Proxima. That's fair.
例えばはもっと昔は札付きの悪猫さんだったのですが
Last year, she just literally beat up Satoko and victim blamed her for no reason. That wasn't me!
にゃーにゃー。
まあ本当はあんまり言いたかないんだ
But
けどね。
Mion had to take the rap for that one.
私から見ればモデルガンで闇討ちなんてかわいいもんだって。
True.
私なんかレンガとか投げつけてたよ。いやほんと。
Mion, that is like aggravated assault and battery.
警察に何度お世話になったことやら。
Why are you saying that with a happy smile on your face? She's like, man, good times.
ダム戦争の最中はちょっとした留置場常連だったよ。いやいや本当に。
でも昔のことなのですよ。そしてそれを圭一に言う必要はないのです。仲間であってもなのです。
仲間であっても？
私だってとても言えないような苦い過ちや罪がいくつもあります。でも言わないのは言っても仕方がないからですわ。
言って楽になるなら私たちは聞くよ。でもね、仲間だから言わなければならないなんてルールはない。
Yeah, I agree with Mion. Keiichi didn't need to do that.
むしろ仲間なら言いたくない過去を察してあえて聞かないのが 本当の仲間なんじゃない？
Happy.
それはそうだけど。
ケイちゃんが打ち明けて楽になったならそれでいいよ。私たちは今日の話をすぐにでも忘れる。それに今日の話を聞いたからケイちゃんとの接し方を変えるようなこともない。
圭一が前の町でしたことなんて今の圭一と何の関係もないのです。今の圭一が僕たちにとってかけがえのない仲間であるのなら前の町のこと。
リカの言う通りでございますわ。逆に前の町でどんなに善行を積もうともこちらに来て嫌な人だったなら前の町の善行なんかしたこ
That's
とじゃあり
also
ません
true.
わね。
It goes both ways.
ってことはさ、ケイちゃん、
Don't mind me just frequently glancing behind my computer screen to see if the deer have returned.
前の町での十字架はケイちゃんが密かに胸に秘めることであってこっちでわざわざ口にする必要なんてないんじゃない？
I think the 2 deer I chased off from my apple trees must have told the other deer in the area, like, bruh, the owner of that house is gone crazy. Don't go near him anymore. Which, like, alright, if that's what it takes.
いや、仮に口にしてもだ。
You still think that Satoko pushed her parents off the bridge like she did to Keiichi in Chapter 3? Why would she do that, though? Unless her parents sucked, but we don't really have any evidence of that other than they supported the dam construction project. So that doesn't make much sense.
それでケイちゃんの味方を変える程度のやつだったら私はそいつの方を見下げるね。
Besides, we proved in Chapter 3 that if you get pushed off that bridge, you apparently survive. Then again, I don't know how much of any of the Chapter 3 ending I should trust, given how completely mind-breaking it was.
過去が何だろうと今が素晴らしい人間であるならばどうして恥じることがございますの？もし過去の過ちを一生取り戻せなかったら私たちは何のために生き続けますの？
These hands. These hands.
サトコは過去にとても甘えん坊さんでした。
True.
それを後悔して今はこんなにも元気で頑張っていますの
She
で
a
す。
strong, independent woman who need no man except in Chapter 3.
だから僕は今のサトコはとても素晴らしいと思いますです。昔どうだったかなんて僕は興味。リカ
Rika's like, can you please stop interrupting me? Then speak faster. Stop taking so many pauses between your words.
ケイちゃんだってどうよ。例えば私が留置場常連の札付きだとしたら私への見方を変える？
Maybe.
変えないでしょ。私は私。いつものように楽しくふざけ合える関係は何も変わらないでしょ。
Oh yeah, that CG of her pushing us off the bridge is one of the best CGs. Probably also one of the creepier ones. I still think the 2 creepiest CGs in Higurashi, though, are number 2, Rena trying to break into our house through, like, the door slit. And I still think the creepiest CG I've seen is the one where Keiichi's on the phone and Rena's, like, right behind him staring at him through the doorway in Chapter 1. It was only there for, like, a second, but dear God, that was, like, the biggest jump scare in the whole game. Also, Shion laughing hysterically on the phone was also up there.
それが仲間ってもんだもん。
What? What's going on? Miona's trying to cheer me up with an encouraging smile on her face, but her expression became distorted all of a sudden. No, it didn't. Big teardrops fell from my eyes. What? Why am I crying?
先に言っとく。俺はサトシのことは何も知らない。みんなが隠してたからな。
Hmm?
隠してたってわけじゃ。
毎年起こる事件のこと隠してたろ。
それはケイちゃんを
怖がらせたくなかったってのか？それが理由で俺だけのけ者かよ。
いや、そんなつもりじゃ。
Mion didn't know what to say. She had tears in her eyes. She thought she did me a favor. She didn't know why it turned out like this. She didn't want to make me scared of the village since I just moved here. What more reason did she need?
ミオンに直にダム現場で事件がなかったかって聞いたよな。ミオンはないって言ったじゃないか。バラバラ殺人があったのによ。
Is this back in Chapter 1?
嘘つき野郎。
ごめん。 嘘ってわけじゃ。
仲間ってのは隠し事なんかなしだろ。そうだろ。じゃあお前らは仲間じゃない。
Yeah, this is the scene. This is the scene where he's just like, we're not friends anymore. And then we got the CG of like the glowing eyes when she was like, how dare Oisi tell him all that? Ah! What are friends? What are friends? What were friends to me? They were my true friends. They really cared about me. They were so nice to me and helped me feel at home in this village. I couldn't have been happier. Everything was great, wasn't it?
ケイちゃん、そんなのって。
Mion seemed like she didn't know what to say. Her eyes looked moist. It was hard to believe she was really acting like this. It wasn't even like Mion at all. I could feel her pain. She was in pain because she didn't know what I was blaming her for. She looked so sad, but I didn't notice her pain. I thought I was her friend. I didn't understand her feelings. I didn't trust her. I just used the word friends, but I didn't do anything like what friends were supposed to do.
そうだった。俺はクズだったんだ。ミオンはミオンだったんだ。俺の最高の仲間だったんじゃないか。
Rena feels real bad right now.
どうしてミオンを疑っちまったんだ。どうして。
ケイちゃんさ、最近元気ないよね。
都会から引っ越してきたんだもん。きっと今頃になって疲れが出てきたんだよ。それで風邪をひいたんじゃないかな。
How is he remembering this? This is not a scene we've ever seen yet.
そっかそっか。じゃあ栄養をつけさせてあげないとね。バッチャが今日おはぎを作ってるんだよ。いくつか分けてもらってケイちゃんへのお見舞いにでもしてあげるか。
こんなみよ。
Oh no, it's Oreo, the grandma.
おいやりなちゃん、一つやってるんかい。
へえ、おはぎ作りって面白そうですね。レナも一つだけ作らせてもらおうかな。よいしょ、よいしょ。
そうだそうだ、いいこと思いついたよ。
なにみーちゃん。あ、その小瓶何かな。
甘いおはぎだけじゃ退屈しちゃうだろうからね。うち一つにはクリティカルヒットでタバスコを混ぜておいてあげよう。
What is going on? When did this take place? That's right. That's what happened. They brought Ohagi for me to help me get better. They only tried to cheer me up. Why did I get so scared of them? Just because Mio knew I had lunch at Angel Mort, I grew terrified of her.
ケイチくん、顔色悪いよ。もう横になった方がいいと思うな。
Wait, no, in chapter 1, there was the needle in our lunch.
そうだね。私たちはもう帰ろう。
They just wanted to cheer me up with a joke. But because I looked so serious,
じゃあね、ケイちゃん。
please get better soon. I hope we can hang out in the club together tomorrow. That was a normal way of saying goodbye.
明日、学校休んじゃ嫌だよ。
First of all, have I ever visited any of my classmates who were absent with a cold? Yeah, Mion reproached him with very creepy eyes. Although I do remember in that scene, I'm like, technically the words they were saying weren't creepy, but they were very, like, creepy in the way they were delivering it with, like, the lizard eyes, like, we don't want you to be late to school tomorrow, Keiichi. What is going on here? No, I haven't. I've never done such a nice thing to anybody, because it's too much of a bother. But they did that for me. I understand visiting a friend in a hospital, but I just caught a cold. But they came to visit me with Ohagi so I could get better soon. I should have been thankful to them and said I'll get better soon. And I'm sure I can come to school tomorrow. But this is after they were uber creepy to him. So I'll see you then. That's what I was supposed to say. But what did I do instead? I locked the door. I closed the door and locked it as if rejecting them. What was I so scared of? What was I so afraid of? Why didn't I say any words of appreciation to my friends who cared about me? I was just so scared of the Ohagi they brought for me. What was I thinking? It was impossible that there was a needle in one of them, but there was! You literally took it out! There wasn't actually a needle at all. It was all in my head, because I read some manga about someone putting needles or razor blades in people's foot. You literally held the needle in your hands! This doesn't make sense. It scared me so much that I believed it could also happen to me for some reason. And I thought there was a needle in the Ohagi, but there was! You were so stupid, Keiichi! Why would your friends put a needle in the food if they only brought you to make you feel better? I was crazy to think like that. Even if there was a needle in one of them, I should have thought it was some kind of mistake, and I should have believed in my friend's innocence. That's what a true friend would do. But what did I do? Pound, splatter, smash. Okay, I threw the Ohagi that they spent so much effort making on the floor. Why? Why did I do that? Because Needle was in it. I got along so well with them. I moved to Hinamizawa and I made friends for the first time in my life. They were my best friends. Meeting them was the most wonderful experience of my life. I'd probably never have another one like that for the rest of my days. I knew that, but I got scared and I doubted them. They noticed that I was acting odd. That's why they called the manager Eerie. They thought a sedative might help me relax so I could rest and get better. That's why they carried me up to my room. Mion just wanted to make it fun. She's the kind of person who expresses her goodwill by making a joke out of it. I knew that better than anybody. She knew Eerie would roll up my shirt to check my heartbeat with a stethoscope. So she was just trying to draw graffiti on my shirt like she did to Tomotage-san as punishment for the game he lost. Yes, that's why Mion took a felt marker out of her pocket. A felt marker. She brought a marker from home because she wanted to do something funny. She tried to cheer me up by making me take a punishment for fun rather than nursing me, because that's just what Mion is like. She went to the trouble of bringing a felt marker to my house, just because she wanted to cheer me up. Rena held me down tightly, and Mion came closer to me to write something on my shirt. Mion whispered the words she was going to write on my shirt. I heard them. I heard them clearly. I heard what she was going to write on my shirt. I hope you get well soon, Mion. I heard them. Then why? I should have known she wasn't going to do anything to hurt me. Then why? Why? Why did the marker look like a syringe to me? Didn't they also say we're injecting you with the drugs that killed Tomotage? You can't hallucinate that. This doesn't make sense. Why did I think that Mion was going to kill me? It was impossible. It was impossible. But she did. Why did I misunderstand that Mion was going to kill me? It's not just like oh, I couldn't see it, so it looked like a syringe. I distinctly remember that she said, like, yep, we're going to inject you with the drugs that killed Tomotage. Oh, he hallucinated that too. That doesn't make sense. That's not how hallucinations work. The numbness in my head receded, and slowly I felt blood start to run from my entire body again. How long was I squatting down there? For a few minutes? Or a lot longer than that? As I looked up at the clock, my hands weren't moving at all, as if they had stopped when I had my eyes closed. Really? The atmosphere in the room wasn't filled with insanity like it was earlier, but it was quiet and gray. Rena wasn't holding me down, and Mion wasn't about to give me an injection. Was all of that just some kind of illusion? You would have to hallucinate, like, visually and audially, and, like, in literally every single way. I don't see how that's possible. There was no sense of presence other than myself in that room. Also, Rena still, like, creepily listened in on our phone call, and she still admitted to stalking us, and she still tried to break into our house. And she still chased us around the construction site with a hatchet while laughing insanely. So this doesn't explain any of that. It was an extraordinary experience, the kind I'd never had before. I was there, with Rena and Mion. I doubted my sanity for a moment, but at the same time, I felt some kind of relief, too. The scary incident was just an illusion, after all. Neither Rena nor Mion would have done such a terrible thing to me. Tears started forming in my eyes. My emotions were running high. Why? It wasn't a question of why tears were forming in my eyes. Why? It was a question of my sadness. Why did I feel so sad? I don't know. I don't know. You don't know? What do you mean you don't know? What do you mean you don't know? I don't know. You do know. I was so stupid. What the hell was I doing? It was so pathetic and helpless. Mio just tried to cheer me up, that was all. I liked her so much. She was my best friend. She was older than me, but she hung out with me like we were the same age. She was the first one who came to talk to me in class. She was so nice to me. But I... Batter up! Mion was lying down in an unnatural position near the window. She was covered in dusky red blood from her head to her chest. The red fluid splattered on the wall, and it was Mion's. What had I done? What had I done? I would never forgive myself.
みんなのことを本当に友達だと思ってたんだぜ。
Why? Why did all of this happen? There was nothing fun in my life at my old school. When I talked to anyone, it was only about my chances of passing entrance exams of the school that we wanted to go to. My life was shaded in gray. Friends to me were rivals and enemies to vie with for a school recommendation and test scores. My friends here taught me just how unnatural that was. This whole month was a blast. We raised the roof over lunch, our club activities, and the festival. A warm liquid flowed out of my eyes. To my surprise, it was my tears. I didn't have any obligation to cry for them, but I couldn't stop it. Even though they attempted to kill me, even though they almost killed me, I couldn't forget the memories we made during the past month. Or were those fun days fake? Was it an act that they kept playing perfectly to set me up until today? Was it only me who believed that they were my friends? It couldn't be. Rena and Mion, they were my friends for real. Those happy days couldn't have just been a performance. Rena and Mion must have been forced by somebody to kill me. Or that an extraordinary existence called Oyashiro-sama possessed them and took over their consciousnesses. No matter what it was, both Rena and Mion were my best friends. I was stupid! I was such a fool. Such a fool. Such a fool. Such a fool. I wasn't making any sense at all. I killed my best friends! They were my best friends. Then why didn't I trust them? Why didn't I listen to them? I beat them to death. Who did I think I was? I made it sound like I didn't do anything wrong. I felt like everybody went crazy except me. I was such a fool. It was the other way around. Of course it was. I was the only one who went crazy.
ケイちゃん？
俺はなんてことをしてしまったんだよ。なんてこと。
Also, how does he remember this from chapter 1 if that was a different universe? Maybe they'll try to explain it. Mion was still alive. I have a memory of beating her to death because I couldn't trust her, but that's a memory from a non-existent different world. But even though it happened in a different world, I killed Mion, and I didn't realize how deep that sin was. I thought until now that Mion was at fault for being killed.
どうしたんですのケイイチさん。
I don't know, Satoko.
わかんない。ケイちゃん、落ち着いて落ち着いて。私は生きてるよ。ケイちゃんになんか殴り殺されてたまらかっての。
I'm not sure you're in much control over that.
ねえ。
そうですわよ。ケイイチさんごときに遅れを取るようなのは我が部にはおりませんでし
Oh,
たよ。
I want to see Rika's reaction to this, because if Rika's supposed to be the only one who's going through these, like, all these universes, she might freak out at this point that he remembers this.
違うんだ。違うんだ。
Mion and Satoko looked confused, having no idea why I was crying, but I couldn't help myself. I learned just now that I could earn redemption by confessing my sin, but I could never earn redemption for this, not from Mion. No matter how much I cried in this world, nobody could give me forgiveness, and so I could never earn redemption for this sin. Right then, Shia-sensei came in and noticed me crying. You wouldn't see a teenage boy crying like that very often. Shia-sensei asked what was going on, but at that moment I couldn't hear anything. Mion and Satoko looked confused. They didn't know how to explain the situation. Reika-chan approached me in the midst of my sobs.
ケイイチは覚えているのですか？
Ooh. Is it time for serious Rika in the remake?
レナとミオ殺したことを。
そうだ。俺が殺したんだ。
She's like, which time?
殺したんだ。なのに俺は何の罪も認めずに、まるで自分は被害者のつもりで死ぬ最後の瞬間まで仲間を呪って恨んで。
If you want me to believe that's how chapter 1 went, you're gonna have to do a whole lot more explaining on the other stuff that happened.
血がいっぱい出て、そして結局何の後悔もなく一人で勝手に死んだ。
I clawed at my itchy throat in a phone booth, and I didn't notice my sin, and I died alone.
ケイイチ、あなたの罪に気づきましたのですか？
気づいた。こんなにも今頃になって俺は気づいたよ。思い出したんだ。ここじゃない別のよく似た世界で俺は なぜか仲間たちに疑心暗鬼を持って殺してしまったんだ。仲間たちは俺に救いの言葉をかけていたはずなんだ。なぜそれに耳を傾けられなかった。どうしてだよ。
I didn't care if people were staring. I just kept crying. I wanted to transmute my sin to tears in order to squeeze it out of me. But the tears that were coming out of my eyes weren't my sin. They were just tears of regret for doing something irreversible. At that time, I felt something touching my head. I opened my eyes and saw Rika-chan petting my head gently. I didn't need any comfort. I didn't deserve any comfort from Rika-chan. But the words she spoke to me weren't ones of comfort.
圭一を許しましょう。圭一は自分で自分の罪に気づきましたのです。それはとても偉くて普通ではありえないことなのです。
What is required in order to notice something from a different timeline?
だから誰も圭一の偉さがわからなくて
What?
それを許してあげることはできませんのです。でも僕には圭一の凄さがわかるのです。
That's a weird way of putting it, Rika.
リカちゃん。
私はだって
Yeah,
これはありえない
it
ことなのだ。
seems impossible almost.
あなたが
Yeah.
でなのにそれはきっとこの地上に具現するどんな奇跡すらも霞むほどのもので信じられないくらいに
I did-
尊いもの。
I did not understand anything Rika-chan was saying, but I felt like she's the only one who understood the impossible memory I had.
なら今のあなたにならわかるはず。リュウグウレナがどういうことになっているのか。
So what is causing the craziness?
ああ、わかるぜ。
Like, why did Keiichi go crazy in one chapter and then Rena went crazy in another chapter? I think
あの時の俺と同じなんだ。
unless they're able to find an explanation for all the other apparent things that he got wrong in his craziness, I'm still going with the theory that Keiichi, Mion, and Rena went crazy. Or at the very least, Keiichi and Rena. Maybe Mion. I still think Mion went crazy now.
仲間のことを信じたくて信じたくてしょうがないのに信じられないんだ。どんどん自分がおかしくなっていくのにそいつがわからなくて世界の方がおかしくなったって信じてやがるんだ。どうすりゃ救えるかなんてわからねえよ。わからないんだ。だって俺はダメだった。結局死ぬまで死んでも気づけなかったんだ。それをレナに気づかせるなんてどうやって。救えないよ、救えない。俺がそうだったからよくわかるんだ。どうやったってもう救えないんだ。
Calm down, Keiichi. I did fail. But that didn't mean Rena would too. There was no excuse to not save her because I thought she'd fail. After all, what did Rena do back then? I was totally going mad, but she risked her life to save me. She was psycho in Chapter 1! You can't convince me she wasn't. In my room, in that world, I had beaten her many times with a metal bat. But she was smiling. She knew I was scared, and that's why she smiled for me. Keiichi, get off the plate. You've struck out too many times. I beat her so many times. Her arms were broken and her forehead was cut open. I remembered. Rena didn't block her head, even at the very last moment. She opened her arms towards me, like she was looking for a hug. But I still doubted her, and raised the metal bat up high. Rena told me then that it was okay.
私を信じて。
Ah! My friend still told me to believe in her. She told me to trust her. But I still didn't. I lost it and attacked her. I don't remember her saying that in Chapter 1. I could be wrong, though. That was years ago. She was in danger. She was actually killed. But she didn't even block her head. Instead, she used her arms to reach out for me. Rena continued to say those words until the moment she died. Trust me. Please. Trust me. She risked her life to save me. Until her very last moments, she kept telling me to believe in her. But I didn't listen. For so long, I truly believed that I didn't do anything wrong.
リカちゃんに許してもらえて少し心が軽くなった。でもやっぱり俺の罪はレナの目は俺が覚ます。
I'm going to tell her to trust me and let her beat me with a baseball bat. Does everyone else remember these things? Probably not. Apparently only Rika. Rena risked her life to save me. She cared about me until her very last moments. She trusted me. She believed that her words would reach my heart, so she kept saying them until I cracked her skull. I don't care if I die. Rena died for me. I can die for her too. I was such a fool for failing to understand my friend's feelings. That's why I didn't understand what she was saying. But Rena might be different.
この世界はもう狂っちまった。
Keiichi describing the universe of Higurashi when they cry in one sentence.
でもだからといって諦めていいなんてことはねえんだよな。
Keiichi describing my feelings towards Higurashi when they cry. This world is messed up, but that doesn't mean I can just quit.
諦めるってことは信じないってことだ。
Oh, and there he ruined it.
俺はレナを仲間の絆を信じるぜ。だからまだ間に合うんだ。惨劇は回避できる。運命には抗える。俺たちはあがく。そして掴めるんだ。その先の
She's like, okay, I was sick of you interrupting me all the time, so I'm interrupting you. Rika-chan nodded with a serious look on her face, and she put her hand in the pocket of her skirt.
ケイイチ、私も
Ooh,
諦めない。
she was kind of giving up last time.
この世界から希望を失ってたまるものか。
She's like, after all, the only two people who've died have been really jerk buddy. Oh, wait, that's not true. Tomotage died.
数えきれない失敗に疲れ果ててた。
That might just be a canon event, though.
だから世界が狂い出すことに諦めを感じるようになってた。だからもうレナがどうなろうと知ったことではないと昨べ思った。でもそれは間違いだった。
Everyone's like, Rika, why are you talking like a grown woman?
戦おうとする意志がこんなにも美しく神々しくて、そして運命すらねじ曲げかねない奇跡が起こせることを知った。だから私はもう一度戦おう。何度でも戦おう。
Why does best man have to die every time? Like, because his girlfriend is horrible.
その先の未来に至れるまで。
リカとケイイチさんが
Satoko's like, can
何の
someone
話をしてるのか
explain to me what's
さっぱり
going
わか
on?
りませんでしたよ。
覚えていないのは当然なのです。ケイイチがすごいだけなのです。
Why, though? Because he's the protagonist. That doesn't make sense. Also, it's Satoko, it's probably for the best that you don't remember what happened in the previous timelines. Because if you did... Well, for one, she'd probably immediately go and kill Shion, like, right then and there, but, yeah.
私の高尚な脳みそではさっぱりでしたよ。
Someone mod you into be his girlfriend? We'll see if the modders get on that. Rika-chan touched Satoko's forehead to hers.
でもいつかは思い出してあげてください。あなたが抗えぬ不幸の袋小路にとらわれた時、ケイイチはあなたを救おうと全身全霊をかけて戦ってくれたこと。
I wouldn't necessarily call committing premeditated murder risking your life. Like, that's a nice way of putting it.
ケイイチさんがですの？
Yeah, and then I got pushed off a bridge.
眉唾でございますわよ。
Although Keiichi definitely went insane in chapter 3. Like, literally confirmed.
ね、ケイイチ。
Rika-chan looked at me, smiling as if waiting for my agreement. I wasn't sure if I could risk my life for Satoko. No, I was sure I'd risk my life for her. Satoko's my friend. If anybody tried to make her unhappy, I'd beat them up without hesitation. I'd risk my life to save her. There might even have been a world like that. I nodded to Rika-chan. Rika-chan nodded back to me, looking happy.
前原くん、何かありました
Teacher is really out of the loop. Like, what the heck is happening? You know, it's okay. It's okay, best girl. Just go back to teaching. Chia-sensei realized that I'd finally calmed down, and she asked me that.
いえ なんでもないんです。騒がせてすみませんでした。それよりミオ。
Mion's like, what is happening?
何？
I walked towards her. Mion stepped back, not knowing what was going on. She bumped into the blackboard.
何ケイちゃん、マジな顔でどうしたの？
I held Mion tightly. She still didn't know what was going on, and her face turned red. Crying on her shoulder, I told her the following.
すまなかった。本当にすまなかった。
She's like, darn it, I thought he was gonna kiss me.
何がよ、ケイちゃん。おじさん、本当に何のことかわかんないよ。
わかんなくてもいい。わかんなくてもいい。
Does this mean Mion has to forgive Shion for ruining her life? Oh, I hope not. That's gonna be a hard one to forgive. You're gonna have to go through a whole lot of hoop jumping if you want to get me to sympathize with Shion.
わかんなくてもいいから
I
聞いてくれ。
Probably what they're gonna do is Shion's gonna have a, like, I remember doing this moment like KG, be like, I'm so sorry for doing that, and I'm gonna be like, are you though? Are you really?
本当にすまなかった。そしておはぎうまかったぜ。
You
本
didn't
当に
eat
うま
them!
かった。
You said that friends don't lie to each other!
元気が出た。だから俺明日からちゃんと学校に通えるから、また明日も学校で会おうなって。それが言えなくて、今日まで感謝の言葉が遅れて本当にすまなかった。俺はミオンを、いや仲間を誰だろうと二度と疑わない。二度とだ、絶対にだ。だからミオン、あの日の俺をどうか許してくれ。
Mion must have no idea what I was talking about. Of course, I didn't either. I didn't understand what I was talking about. But my sin wasn't forgiven yet. I needed to confess my sin in order to receive her forgiveness.
ミオンが命を懸けてくれたことを俺は知ってる。だからいつかミオンに何かの不幸が訪れたら、俺は絶対に命を懸けて助けるからな。絶対だ。
ケイちゃん、照れるな。
Mion's face was bright red. She didn't know what was going on. Satoko was blushing too, with a confused look on her face. But Rika-chan and I understood everything. We weren't going to accept a tragedy. We couldn't give up just because the world was going out of order. We were going to fight against fate until the very last moment. Mion fought for me. Rena fought for me. That's why I was going to fight for Rena. Just like she did for me, I was going to risk my life to save her. I get the feeling this is not going to end well.